I think there is. I've spoken to a lot of members on both sides of the aisle, and there's this recognition that, people have got to stop framing simple policy disagreements in terms of existential threats to our democracy and all these phrases you hear all the time. You can't call the other side fascists and enemies of the state and not understand that there are some deranged people in our society who will take that as cues to act and do crazy and dangerous things. And that's what we've seen in increasing frequency. So members of Congress and all public officials have an obligation to speak clearly into this and calm the waters. We can have vigorous disputes. I mean, Charlie Kirk was an expert at that. He loved debate. But Charlie also advanced another really important idea, and that is that he loved the people on the other side of that table. He was never motivated by hate. He was motivated by truth and love. And that's what we have to do. That's who we are as Americans. That is follows the best of our Judeo-Christian traditions and heritage and our civil society, and we have got to get back to that.
Well, you talk about Charlie and how he was in engaging with people, and yet there are a lot of folks out there who say that's the opposite of his legacy. They're portraying him as a hateful, bigoted person. I want to play something from Congresswoman Ilhan Omar speaking about him and what he was really like and what his purpose was this week.
There are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
A complete rewriting of history.
These people are full of shit, and it's important for us to call them out while we feel anger and sadness and have, empathy.
And she was referring more broadly to a lot of people on the right that she says have now resulted in her having death threats and the need for around-the-clock security, which I know you've talked about. That's not something you can do for every member. It would cost billions of dollars. But what do you make of her characterization that he really wasn't about civil debates?
She clearly has no idea what she's talking about. She has not followed Charlie. She's playing into this characterization of him that the left has been advancing. There are people actually celebrating his murder online, and that tells you everything you need to know about that side. We've got to get cut through that. Look, member security is a serious matter. We're looking into all options to increase security measures so that they have plenty of coverage for their residential security and their personal security as well. And I think we'll be able to handle that. But there is this angst out there, and we've got to turn the rhetoric down. That is exactly the opposite of what we should be doing, what you just saw in that video right there. And I hope all members of Congress will join us. Look, we've been very active in trying to carry on and really, I think, portray clearly what Charlie was about. And his record speaks for itself. He was a Christian, a committed believer. He understood what Scripture teaches, what you and I understand, Shannon, that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual darkness. And Charlie understood. He put on, as it says there in Ephesians 6, the full armor of God to go out and advance truth and do it in love. And that's exactly what he did. That's what his legacy stands for. And everyone around this country who is mourning his death understands that in spite of what some of these voices are saying.